Hi everybody, it's your buddy Brad here, and today we are going to take a look at uh, something that I am calling, as of right now, synthetic. Um, it's kind of, uh, um, it may not be the best name for it, but if you take a look at the video and you come up with another name for this process, let me know. I'm willing to make a change to the name. Um, Basically, it's kind of taking the classic either plastic or oily type flames and taking them to kind of an advanced level using uh, two synth variations. Um, Before we get going, I will show you some of the examples that I have come up with um, just to whet your appetite. So this was the kind of the first image that I started to come up with. Now you see here, this is kind of reminiscent of the classic uh, oily, but again, it's hopefully different enough to warrant this tutorial. In some ways, it's kind of a mix between oily, plastic, and gnarl. Some of these I have posted, some of these I have not. This one I have posted. Seems to have gotten good good feedback on it. I think another name for these is etched type flames as well. I think I've heard them called that too. And finally, this image. So let's go on ahead and get started. So to begin with, we're going to start new from scratch. And we're going to select synth. S-Y-N-T-H right here. And to begin with, actually synth is kind of is labeled as a blur variation because of how it operates. Synth is a very advanced variation because it's almost well, it is multiple variations in one. To get a little bit of some helpful tips on how to use synth, if you come over here and click this I, and if you click that, it will open up the spreadsheet that was created by Downtown. And if you notice at the bottom here, there are also other a lot of other features and stuff that you can look into. This is a very, very valuable asset that I don't think a lot of people realize we have. So check it out. It is really helpful. So to begin with, there are modes, which is from A down to B. And then we have wave settings, which consist of this B down to B layer, and B layer, C layer, D layer, etc. down to F. So they actually can build these wave settings can actually build off of each other, and we will kind of go over that a little bit in this tutorial. But there is also a great tutorial by Rick Sidwell here, where he describes synth in a little bit better way than I could actually probably do it. And since he's already done it, I don't think I need to repeat what he has said. I might do a little bit, but that's part of the variation. And he also has a great list of resources down here for you to check out too. Also, I really suggest the synth variation explained, because it is actually from the creator's Slobo 777, I think. I could be wrong. Does he say? It's Neil Slater. I think he goes by Slobo. If I'm not saying that right, my apologies. But back to this. So we have the modes, the waves, and the layers, which is each wave section has a layer. And it's kind of based off of old synthesizers, where you got to tweak all the knobs to get different waveforms, and you would get different sounds. It's kind of based off of that. And if you look here, we actually have two sphericals. There's a spherical at mode 0 and a spherical 2 at mode 19. And we are actually going to be using the one on mode 19 today. And also, just to point out, it really does go from 19 to 1001 down to 1007. So if you just like keep hitting like the number on the modes, you will that won't work. You have to actually type in like 1001, 1002, etc. So just keep that in mind if you're exploring this variation more. So we have a basic blur here. I'm actually going to shrink it down some. And the reason we're going to use a Synth Blur is you can actually, change it around. Get different shapes really quick. Like a flower, if you're into those type of things. Right now I'm just going to keep it kind of small. And so since we have a blur here, and now we are just going to hit add, and we're going to select another synth. And here's where I was talking about modes. So if you look at our database here, we want number 19. So we're going to 19. And that actually gives us a spherical. And then we're going to lower the power down. Let's start at 1. Then we actually want to enable the Find Edit mode. This will come in handy with this this process because it is very finicky at some times. So then we're just going to bring it down. Let's put to, let's start off at 0.995. Yeah, that's good. Then let's go ahead and add a little bit of wave. And I'm actually going to change the wave type here. I like 2. And we're going to rotate this. First of all, also, let's go ahead and set the weight. We're going to set the weight to something really high. We're setting the weight to 200. Bam! Now we're starting to see some of the magic. And we're going to come down here to the color. And we want to set this to almost 99. Let's go 995. Let's get a different gradient here. That might be hard to see. Hopefully that is better to see. And camera, we're going to zoom in a little. And now we're going to rotate this 2 times. So it's 180 degrees. So make sure you don't have post-transform enabled. If you just move this off. Move to the left a little. And now we're starting to see, get some of the detail. So you actually need to actually lower the amount of the blur even more, make it really small. And I would say that would be a start of a good base to get going here. So now you just start having a little bit of fun. So I just rotated it just very, very tiny amount, and now we're starting to get more of the detail. I'm going to take the Find Edit off. And here is the reason it's so much different than like an oily is the wave is giving adding a little bit of a curve to it, which adds more detail and I guess detail and character to your flame. Then you can also try around with the different types. I also like to play with the skew and the fizz. I can't remember what the fizz stands for. Let's check Rick's tutorial. It's the phase. Phase of the wave in radians, 0 for normal. So if you change this skew, to the fizz, now I actually like to turn down the mix as well. Actually into the negatives I find works better for some reason. I don't mess with the smooth. And now here's where it's going to get really cool. So we're going to come down to this second wave for C. Increase it a little. And we're going to set this type to 7. There, now you see where we get the more of the classic oily look. Then of course you can still go ahead and tweak that as well. And you will notice that this variation is a little slow to load. It is, because there's just so much to it. Then it's always kind of tricky getting colors. You always have to, sometimes you have to really play around with the coloring to get the colors you want. Here we go. Then once you find some spot you like, you can always zoom in on it. Now we're really seeing the blur there. What we can do is, now we can even change the blur. There is we want which mode do I want? I'm sorry here. Let's take a look. Yeah, here it is. Let's go for 12. Now we get a ring. Now we can actually, you can either have it really small or make it really big. And that way you actually get rid of it to some extent. guess you can still see it. I think yeah, you need to make it hidden as well. It helps. And if you move it off center. And I'm doing that with the post transform enabled. Then if you still want to get rid of it even more, just decrease the weight. Now, previously I've been able to get rid of it. I'm not sure. It still looks pretty cool like this. I'm just going to make it really small. Then you can actually even use other, yeah. Basically, that first blur is just giving it that point for the second one to work off of. And then, going back to the second synth, we can go down here to D, and you see by increasing the amount here, it changes it even more. Let's go ahead and change the type. And also let's change the layer. The layer is kind of how it will affect with the other layers. Each one of these is a layer, I believe, and so it how it interacts with the other ones. See, I think I want to also change this layer to 3. There we go. And I think that is making this one have kind of a maximum effect on it. I just find edit mode here. It's a little bit too bright. Let's go ahead and turn up the fade to white a little. You see we get these really, really cool oily type of patterns. Of course you can rotate it. And I know there's also other types of patterns or setups that use this same blur synth setup. And so basically this is just, think of this as tweaking tips for those others as well. Basically anytime you use a spherical, try using a synth, either the original 0 or the spherical 2. And I just love just tweaking all the variables of this to get something that you like. And sometimes you just lose everything, but that's okay. We'll just get something back. Hopefully. Here we go. Just had to add a little bit more of the blur to it. And you can get just so many cool, ooh, I really like that. Really cool patterns, new shapes. Sometimes you might have to zoom out to see everything. There we go. I think that was another issue before. I was zoomed in too much. You can probably go ahead and lower the blur now. And so that is about it. You know, you can still go ahead and add even more different types of waves plated with the different types. Remember, if you want to get an oily type of effect, you want to use the 7 type. Let's see, what is that? 7 is what? It's actually N-gon. And with the X frequency is the number of sides. And so maybe that's interesting because I find it works best. Let's go ahead and get it going here again. 7. Oops. I'm on the wrong synth. Okay. So I found that with the frequency, it works best between, you don't want to go above 2 because then you lose it. See how we kind of lost it now? Now you see how we have that oily type of look. So just keep that in mind. If you have any questions, again, if you have a different name for this tutorial, I am all up for it. If you have any questions, advice, critiques, anything, reach out to me. If you haven't, go ahead, like, subscribe to, that way you can check out more of my videos. That's kind of the point of this thing. And also don't forget to click the little like thing to get all my notifications. So, yeah. Till next time. Bye.